Is there a problem here?
Yeah, you look really stupid. Jive, turkey.
In the early morning hours, fire reddened the sky over Belle Gunness's farmhouse. Neighbors rushed to the scene of the blaze. Gunness had 3 children, and the sleeping family was most likely trapped inside. Yet despite the neighbors' best efforts to break through the locked doors or arouse someone, anyone, from within the burning structure, no one stirred. And the farmhouse burned to the ground. Afterwards, authorities dug through rubble in search of victims. They soon found 4 bodies arranged in a row on the basement floor. 3 of the bodies belonged to Gunness's children, Myrtle, Lucy, and Philip, ages 11, 9, and 5. The 4th body, an adult woman's, was presumably Gunness herself, but there was a problem. The corpse was missing her head. News of the fire spread throughout the community. Ray Lamphere, a former farmhand and ex-lover of Gunness's, was arrested under suspicion of murdering the family and then igniting the blaze. Meanwhile, authorities continued to sift through the charred wreckage of the Gunness farmhouse. The head was still missing, but where could it be? Workers expanded their search beyond the farmhouse's foundation to a nearby hog pen, and there they unearthed a grisly scene beyond their darkest imagination. Buried in the dirt were hacked apart human remains. Further digging turned up additional remains. Authorities eventually recovered at least 11 bodies scattered across the property. Belle Gunness, who previously had been viewed in a tragic light, was now believed to be a serial murderer who claimed a staggering number of lives. Born in Selbu, Norway, 1859, much of Belle's early life remains a mystery. She was raised in poverty and worked tirelessly for a profitable farm for 3 years in order to fund her trip to the United States. In 1881, she crossed the ocean, changed her name, and settled in the Midwest, abandoning her old life forever. Belle married a man named Mads Diltev Anton Sorensen in 1884. The couple soon opened a candy shop in Chicago, Illinois. The store never amounted to much, and within a year, it mysteriously burned down. The couple collected the insurance money, which they used to buy a new home. According to the census, the couple had 4 children. 2 of the children allegedly died from acute colitis, a malady with symptoms that closely resembled poisoning. Then Mads suddenly died July 30th, 1900, the only day on which both of his life insurance policies overlapped. The cause of death was ruled heart failure. Belle claimed that she had given her husband medicine to ease his suffering, but she of course collected the double insurance money on his life. Mars's family remained suspicious of murder, but Belle fled. She bought the farm then just outside LaPorte, Indiana, and rediscovered an old friend named Belle Gunness, also a widower. They married in 1902. Soon thereafter, Peter's infant daughter died while under Belle's care. Just months later, Peter also died of strange circumstances. Belle claimed that he was scalded with brine while reaching over the stove. Once more, Belle's pockets brimmed with insurance money. But her lucrative personal tragedies were getting suspicious. So she decided to place personal ads in major newspapers stating that she was a comely widow and that triflers need not apply. She was looking for a good and reliable man to come join her on her farm. Of course, some cash is required, for which will be furnished first-class security. The twice-widowed Belle Gunness set about running her farm on her own terms, hiring farmhands like Ray Lampsphere to assist with her needs. As we now know, the Lonely Hearts ads were just a trap. Many of the suitors who answered Gunness's call journeyed to their deaths on the farm. Belle's no-nonsense appeal was designed to fetch good solid farmers, and fetch them it did. Mr. Carl Peterson became attracted and responded to the ad. Bill had replied back to him April 14th, 1908, just 2 weeks before the fire, and told him,
Sir, there have been other answers to the same advertisements. As many as 50 have I received. I have picked out the most respectable and decided that yours is such. My idea is to take a partner to whom I can trust everything, and as we have no acquaintance ourselves, I have decided that every applicant I have considered favorably must make a satisfactory deposit of cash or security. I think that is the best way for parties to keep away grafters who are always looking for such opportunities, as I have had experience with them and can prove. Now, if you think that you are able in some way to put up $1,000 cash, we can talk matters over personally. If you cannot, is it worthwhile to consider? I would not care for you as a hired man, as I am tired of that and need a little rest in my home near my children. I will close this for now. With friendly regards, Mrs. Gunness.
Mr. Peterson was lucky. He did not have $1,000. The letter was turned over to the police shortly after the discovery of the murders. Other men who found out they had made narrow escapes from the Black Widow's clutches shuddered when they heard what was found in Gunness's hog lot. Men arrived. There was John Doe from Minnesota, who came with money to pay off Belle's mortgage and disappeared a week later. There was George Anderson from Missouri, who also brought money for the mortgage, but woke to find Belle's sinister face staring down at him in the dark. He fled as fast as he could. Belle's house became her citadel. She kept the windows shut and her blinds always drawn. She spent nights shoveling in the hog pen and often placed large orders for trunks to be delivered to her home. The gentlemen suitors never ceased to show up, and all were never seen again. Belle's last known suitor victim was Andrew Hagerling from South Dakota. After many letter exchanges, Andrew finally decided to take the leap and meet Belle in person. These loving words persuaded him.
My heart beats in wild rapture for you, my Andrew. I love you. Come prepared to stay forever.
Andrew arrived on the farm, like the lonely hearts before him, and like those doomed suitors, he too vanished without a trace. Throughout it all stood one man, Ray Lamphere, Belle's dedicated farmhand. Ray did anything Belle asked of him and seethed with jealousy whenever a new suitor arrived at Belle's door. Belle eventually realized Ray's instability was a risk to her livelihood. He was fired in 1908 and was reported to have gone mad. Meanwhile, Helgeline's brother grew suspicious of his missing brother Andrew. Belle tried to shake him off with vague stories about his disappearance, but it was clear her excuses weren't cutting it. With the walls closing in on her, she drafted up a new will and left her entire estate to her children. It was the next morning, April 28th, 1908. Belle's home burst into flames. Her newly hired farmhand, Joe Maxon, awoke to thick smoke and fire filling his room. He leapt out of his second floor window, dying from the fall to escape. Belle Gunness was nowhere to be found. The strangest mystery loomed. The charred remains of the headless woman uncovered in the rubble beside the children. Belle Gunness was of rather large stature. She stood 6 feet tall and weighed 200 pounds. She did not match up with the petite corpse that was found. Yet, a set of real teeth had been found in the debris. Belle's dentist claimed they contained the gold plating work that he had performed on her. So no one knew what to believe. While in custody for the murder and arson, Lamphere was suddenly struck ill soon after his conviction. But shortly before his passing, he confessed everything to a priest. He said he had been an accomplice to many of Belle's murders. He revealed that she typically drugged the coffee of their victims before caving in their heads with a meat chopper and dismembering the bodies in the basement. The remains were then dumped into the hog pen. Lamphere claimed that on the day of the fire, Belle beheaded her new maid, dressed the body in her own clothes, set her home ablaze, and never looked back. Belle Gunness, Ray said, was still alive. She was still out there somewhere. It is believed that Belle Gunness murdered between 25 and 40 people. The only 12 could be verified from excavations in the hog pen. Prior to the fire, Belle had withdrawn all of her money from the bank. In 1931, a woman named Esther Carlson was arrested in Los Angeles after poisoning a Norwegian American man for money. Some people who knew Belle claimed that they recognized Esther as her, but she died while waiting to go to trial.